learning, and why should I learn about continuous learning? I think it's a worthwhile question, and I will assist you in that. Then what I'll do, I'll provide some framework. So the people have thought, a lot of people that know what, academics like me, building frameworks, theories, models and all that. So there are lots of frameworks on how continuous learning can happen. Till I call it framework, it look like new to you. But after you see it, you will feel, oh, I knew it. This is how it is. Most learning is like that. Till I go to Taj Mahal, it is great wonder. After that, it is just Taj Mahal. So it is like that. This whatever is going to be said is bordering on common sense. But common sense is the rarest sense, and we don't spend time on it. That's why I probably need to remind you that there is some value to go and revisit the frameworks of continuous learning. After that, I'll do my most favorite session. It will be about 20-25 minutes. I want you to discuss along in your tables. Are we really doing anything about continuous learning in our organizations? If we are, what are they? If we are not, what are they not? What can we do more? Should we do anything at all? Or should we just forget about it after this very strange conclave has happened between HDFC and Union Bank of India? So this is an interesting conclave, isn't it? So if the banking industry can come together like this, except beyond conclaves, that would be a miracle. But that is an interesting situation anyway. So we will discuss that. I want you to come back and share, based on time permitting, from your tables what you found. Then I will talk to you about this famous subject called the knowing-doing gap. Why is that we do not do what we know we should do? This is a big question that we should all ask. And if we get an answer to that, we will do learning also. That's not a big problem. Then there are mindsets that are required, which are interrelated to why we learn, we do not learn. And finally, I'll wrap up. That's how this session is organized. Any comments? Do you want me to discuss anything else? Cricket or Elon Musk? No?
90 minutes.
90 minutes.
90 days.
Sorry? 90 hours. What is 90 hours? Which what? Yeah, 90 hours. I also want to know what happened in 90 hours. Nothing? Oh, 90 hours. Oh. Yeah, I'm tired of staring. At the screen. But
his question was different, sir. After 90 hours, when should we learn? That was his question.
Yeah. Very good question. And I'll give you a headline answer, and I'll give you a detailed answer as we go along. During those 90 hours. Okay? As long as we think that learning is different from work, and work and learning is different from living, we will never learn. The best of learning systems in the world never separated life from learning. We only have done this because we are slaves of the East India Company legacy, which wanted to prepare us as clerks. Therefore, we are learning in a manner that is fragmented, truncated, non-integrated. And we have separated learning from life, which is the tragedy of learning. So we will discuss that, how learning is going to be integral. In the Gurukula, as the boy entered the age of learning, he lived the life with the teacher. He didn't do separate class on geography and come back. He went into the jungle and learned the geography with the teacher. For years together they led life, they grew, they worked, they cultivated, they tried various armory, they reflected, they recited, they learned. And they integrated life with learning. And at every stage of learning in this country, all the way from brahmacharya to grahastha to vanaprastha to sannyasa, there is an integral yoga that went on. It was not considered as separate. So this is another interesting perspective, that why people think learning is an isolated activity to be done for an examination, and why not for life itself as an examination. Anyway, coming back, I want to reiterate that, therefore I want to stay with this slide a lot more. I have some assumptions about the world of learning. I'm a professor, 24/7 I'm in this business of learning. I deliberately use the word business of learning. We have made a business out of learning, by the way. It cost you to do an MBA in my college, 40 lakhs of rupees, so that you know. So, and it is good occasion for you because you can then give loans for it. The biggest loans that America has is of education loans. And very interesting, bankers tell me that education loans are paid better than other loans. So it's a good lucrative business. Coming back, let's deeply think about some of these statements I'm going to make. Knowing is no more the challenge. Knowing is no more the challenge. Because suppose, right now on your phone, you went to ChatGPT and you wrote, tell me in 2 pages how to develop continuous culture. You will get. If you write, give me in 20 pages, you will get. If you write 200 pages, you will get. In seconds. So if Dr. Bindu for free from ChatGPT could get all the knowledge required to develop a learning culture, why would we all suffer like this after lunch? You just imagine the pity of this. So the real problem is the future of learning is not about knowing. It is about asking. It is about, therefore, asking has got a new name called prompt engineering, which is, asking is so difficult that if you don't know what to ask, you will not get the right answer. So I, and most of you, were brought up on memory as the basis of learning. So almost from the age of 5 and 7, my father would take me proudly to the drawing room. His friends will assemble. I will stand. He will ask me, Beta, tell me what is the capital of Ethiopia. So I will do this and say Addis Ababa. Oh, clap, clap, clap. Then he'll tell me what is the capital of Sri Lanka. Then I say Colombo. Then the whole world was thinking I'm a very learned guy. Okay? Each time the teacher told me, don't read anything. Please read my notes. Remember it. If you remember my notes and write it back, you will get first class. This is how I grew up. Classroom was not a place for inquiry. It was not a place for discussion. It was not a place for debate. Then I went to office. My boss did the same thing. He would call me into his cabin and tell me what I should do. I cannot ask him anything. If I ask, then I'm not right person. I'm not complying. I'm not obedient. I'm not disciplined. I don't do. I'm a rebel. I should be marginalized, politicized, and sidelined because I can't be thrown out. So, boss was just doing what the teacher was doing. Then I go further in life. I am doing what my boss did to me, to others. So, forever in life, we are leading a life where we cannot ask, we cannot debate, we cannot question. And if we do, we are considered as impolite. And only those who have just little knowledge do that. Others have no patience. The big world of the leaders think that they all know the answers. It is impossible for you to manage any more on that basis. I guarantee that with you. Try that with your child, you will know what happens. If you try that with your child, 18-year-old child, you will know what happens to what we have thought is knowledge. Now, interestingly, the real question to be told the child at the age of 5, Suppose my father had asked me a question, why is Delhi the capital of India? Then I would have been a more learned man. Isn't it? Even till today, most Indians do not know why Delhi is the capital of India, and Stalin thinks it should not be. So, please understand that. Now, doing and practicing therefore is the real challenge. Don't spend time in memorizing things. Suppose I remember in my time when I was a boss or a middle-level manager, remembering the company's manual, the new policies, the office orders, the inter-office memos, the clauses, the RBI guidance, the whatever are the statutes, all these were most important for me. All of them are available on a fingertip now. None of them are going to distinguish you in any manner and make you special. Nothing is going to make you special. You are not the only man who will know what is the interbank rate, what is the deposit level, etc. Everybody will know. So real problem is that if you know that X depositors no NPA should be achieved, why is that we are not able to achieve NPA? That is a bigger question, isn't it? That question leads us to do the following. One, we must surface the obstacles. Many things that we know we cannot do because we do not surface the obstacles. Almost every educated man in the world knows that the world's zero cost exercise is called morning walk. No money required, no gym charges, no trainer required, nothing required. You just have to get up, ideally wear a shoe, if not otherwise acupressure works, and you can walk. And you will get a lot of health. Studies have shown between 5 to 7% people go for a morning walk. Why? And if same man who doesn't go for a morning walk is asked to give a lecture on morning walk, he can easily give a morning walk lecture. Can easily. Why does it happen? Because he doesn't do the following. He doesn't surface the obstacle. Obstacle number one. I cannot get up before 7 o'clock. By the time I get ready and go for morning walk, my bus for office leaves. Or my child wants me to sit on the breakfast table. I cannot face the problem at home. But I won't say. If you ask you, why don't you go for a morning walk? Oh, I go from tomorrow, I go next year, New Year resolution and all that. First is surfacing the obstacle. Second is, what is the mindset? All these people say morning walk is important, but I know hundreds of people who don't go for a morning walk. Nothing happened. They are enjoying life. Why should I go for a morning walk and suffer? There are dogs on the road. It is so difficult. It is so polluted. We'll give 100 reasons. Because our mindset doesn't believe that morning walk is important. First time you are entered into an ICU, doctor says now you have a block. And then puts a stent and then goes, now if you don't walk you will die. Then same person who was avoiding the morning walk will walk. So what has changed? The mindset has changed. Why has the mindset changed? Because there is a sense of urgency. Is there any sense of urgency among us about what might happen to banking industry? I don't think so. I think banking industry is so important that no government will let it fail. Therefore, we are generally safe. All this general talk goes on. I've seen so many seminars. This is the mindset. Okay? Now in this mindset we are saying we will learn, not only learn but we will continuously learn. Come on, yaar. You think this is going to happen? I don't think so. So if you decide the mindset, then comes the skill set. How do I learn? I was told by my dean that if you don't know how to use AI tools in classroom, you will not be considered as a good teacher. Clearly, he told me this. Then what did I do? At this age, I started learning how to use AI tools in the classroom. And today I have learned it. I can do it. Here I am not doing it because this is not even a classroom. This is a lecture hall. So this is very different, by the way. A lecture hall is of no use. Who cares for lecture halls? Anyway, what are the resources required? And what is the organizational barriers? It's not just alone you can learn. Huh? A lot of things have to be helped. People have to help you in what is the point. One of the biggest complaints throughout my life. That, sir, we go to these beautiful programs, we get charged up to come and understand this new model of NPV calculation. But back in my office, my manager smiles and says, "बहुत हो गया यार, वो जो करना था वो पहले करो." He never allows me to do anything new. How will I practice what I learn? Is it interesting? Why are you pulling on my face? I'm just saying, you know, there is this famous book called Who Moved My Cheese? Have you heard of that? Who Moved My Cheese? So it was my cheese. I was trying to hang on to it. Suddenly, quietly, he removed it. So it's amazing, an interesting process of learning.
He is from learning department.
I see. Thank you very much. There you are. Okay, listen. Then what we will do is we'll figure these out. My only submission is let us bridge the knowing-doing gap. That's what we should do today. I will talk about a few things that we need to know, but let's do more about how to do. So ask questions. That I know this, how will I do it? Digital blur. How will I challenge the digital blur? Why first of all create blur, then try to see through it. Imagine what a situation it is. Okay, but anyway. What is continuous learning? Academicians are good at definitions, but I think they serve a purpose. They serve a purpose to bring us around a common understanding. One person says, continuous learning is described as a process where individuals seek out new knowledge or skills throughout their lives. Sounds very simple. This approach emphasizes the importance of being adaptable and proactive in acquiring new competencies. So the two words that are important here. One is throughout the life. Not dependent on departmental examination, promotion, qualification, sounding intelligent, facing my child, tutoring him for his homework. None of those should be the considerations why we learn. But by the way, many of us learn due to those kind of pressures. Second, the second thing this guy says, you have to be adaptable. Now that's a very big problem. I don't think, you try get up from a different side of the bed tomorrow morning, you cannot get up. You will always get up from the same side of the bed, in the same way. This is just how human we are. So anybody who's wearing a wristwatch, these days many people don't wear. So you try wearing it on the right hand. For the next 1 hour you will feel uncomfortable. We are born to resist change. Like I couldn't resist this. Since the moment he took away my chair, I put it back. Because I've now got used to leaning on it. So many such invisible chairs you are leaning on. If they are removed, you will resist. Almost go and think it back. This is how it is. The next is proactive. Proactive means I will not learn because someone asked me to learn. I learn because I want to learn. I will seek out to learn. So this guy, this so-called professor from ISB is talking too much. I will stop him and ask him a question so that I can learn what I want. I will not suffer what he tells me. That's called proactive. And by the end of now, next 60 minutes, I will check out who of you is proactive. Who will have the desire to even engage with me. Janjak mein kaun phase, why ask him a question? Somebody will laugh, somebody will judge. My question not be good, he may irritate him, he may give me an answer, I may be put down on a small form, I will take आधा घंटा चला जाएगा, फिर चाय पैन हो जाएगा. So there are lots of ways how we can pass this time because we are not proactive. We don't want to be active about learning. We just are passive receivers of a talk, which sometimes we receive, sometimes we don't receive. That's our choice. So that's what this fellow says, that if you want to learn, consider it as a lifelong issue. Be proactive and be adaptable. The other guy says, continuous learning is a systematic approach. It's a systematic approach, not ad hoc approach. Not something you do just on the side of things. It's a systematic approach to understand, learn from experience. And that's an interesting This is my phone. By chance, yeah. See how impolite of me. Let me put it on silence. And you kindly do the same. Now,
Already we have done it.
you have. I reminded you, unfortunately. So, okay. So this, the guy says that, look, I like this word, reflecting. One of the problems we have is that we equate experience with learning. What that means is the more senior, bald, pot-bellied, grey-haired, titled chief general manager, etc., I am automatically supposed to be learned. And if somebody is younger, and poor fellow has good thick hair, and is still not, has good abs, not belly, and titled assistant manager, how can he be learned? This is the real world. Learning is a privilege of the old and the experienced. Absolutely wrong. Absolutely wrong. When I wanted to learn how to work, how to use Twitter, now it is called X, that is 15 years back, I actually approached a 23-year-old to teach me, and I formalized a program in a company called reverse mentoring. I deliberately chose younger people to teach the older people what they do not know. I encourage you to do that. Believe me, there are many things that you do not know, that young people know. And you will be surprised how much they can teach you if you are open. I learn every day from my daughters. Every day. So, this guy says that kind of an activity will lead to reflection. Reflection means if mere calendar years are not a passport for learning, but if you reflect on a calendar, suppose today you had a day here, and you go back, sit in your room with a cup of tea, you think about, take a notebook and say, so what did I learn today? And what does it mean to me? Why should I worry about it? What should I learn more about what I did not learn? When you do that, that's when learning is happening. Learning happens not by passing through experience, but by pausing at experience and reflecting on it. And in the hands of good teachers, your science and art of reflection can be sharpened, harnessed, deepened, and made more relevant to you. So seek teachers that help you reflect better. That's interesting how the whole methodology of teaching in this ancient country was based on students to do meditation and reflection every afternoon after the classes were finished in the morning. There is a reason why these things are done. And those things we have forgotten in the melee of examinations, GMAT, etc. So, interestingly, if you do that, the consequences of actions are very interesting. I did something, what did it lead to? Suppose today I go through this experience. When I'm going back in the deep traffic of Bangalore, when I go back, I have 1.5 hours at my disposal. If I can reflect what went right, how many times could I produce smiles? How many times people slept off? How many people asked me even a question? How did I engage this class? What did I say? What did I come to do, and did I waste time? Then next time I'll improve. But if I go away and then start doing mobile calls to other friends and go to the pub, then obviously I will do nothing with my experience. I would have just passed on it. 15 minutes of reflection produces greater learning than 15 hours of reading. This is interesting. So these are some of the ideas about continuous learning. Continuous learning, whatever you came and thought it is, I would request you to think in these terms, because these are more people who have thought about continuous learning and have given you some practical definitions. Much like how if I go to any of your science in the banking world and I simply have to understand what is interest rate, there is a definition for it. And only you will know it, I will not know it. I cannot say why is it not 10.5. Okay, so this is what is a science. So continuous learning is not common sense. It is a construct that needs to be paused and understood in the way it has been designed. Then we'll make a good science of that. Now let's ask the question, why is this important? I studied some research. And I read a lot. I brought just two of them to you. In this famous journal called the Human Resource Development Quarterly, there is an interesting article. It's called The Relationship Between the Learning Organization Concept and Firms' Financial Performance. Now, research shows over and over again that organizations that learn perform better than those organizations that don't learn. Assuming that you are all senior leaders of your respective organizations, that if nothing, your interest is to make your firm perform better, if that is genuinely your interest, then there is a business case to why we should spend time on learning. It's the same business case that made Nokia, being the first inventor of phone, to fail, and some Samsung to win, simply because they were willing to learn. That is an interesting experience all over the world. People who are learning are growing, people who are not learning, to say strongly, are dying without their knowing. So this is the fact. And this guy has created a whole framework. He has done a whole research. He has taken the various parameters it takes to learn, and then he is measuring it for return on equity, return on assets, and other performance measures. So as bankers, you sometimes also fund companies, give loans to companies so that your business grows, etc. You are measured for how many such things you can do. In some places, government says there is mudra in it, so you have to do it anyway. So all kinds of things happen. So now the issue is, one of the questions that should be worrying is, am I giving money to an organization that doesn't learn? You never ask that question, because you are not trained for it. You are trained to see what was collateral, what is the 5-year return, what will they do, what is the market size, what is the promoter's bank balance, etc. These are, everything of that can be fudged, by the way. But if you can find, by the way, there are tools available. There are tools available to test, much like there are other tools available to test the stress test a balance sheet. There are tools available to test whether an organization is learning or not learning. You should learn those tools. Not, if not for yourself, for the tasks you to perform in supporting other organizations. It's very interesting. Then you can learn it for yourself. The other two research findings, one survey that was done over 500 people, a diagnostic survey, says that if you learn, your organizational effectiveness increases. The other one says that there is a positive effect of knowledge performance. Knowledge performance has a positive effect on financial performance. And knowledge performance is fully mediates the relationship. It is research language. Basically, it says that knowing companies perform better in financial terms. This is the most important thing to understand. But, angle problem. Before I go here, I want to spend one more minute for which there is no slide. This is organizational reason. Sometimes somebody may be close to retirement. Somebody may have thought my career has reached a plateau. Somebody may think, however much I think, I cannot change the direction of my company. There is a board, they will do all that. Somebody may think, given the fact that AI is already deciding whom to give loan, why should I even beat my head against that? So, there are all interesting things that are happening in our minds. So, just the motivation that companies we do well if you learn is nice to hear, but may not be really motivating to a lot of people. Let me now tell you why we should learn, whether our company goes to bhad, as they say in Hindi. Whether a company, whatever happens to company, we should still learn. And the reason is as follows. What has happened is, there is almost a scientific proof now that in just about 10 years' time, the average longevity can reach 100. Already in your families, you must be seeing a lot of people in their 80s and 90s. You will all live. There is no wood here, touch wood. 90 plus. I guarantee that to you. Simply because of the advances in medical science. Unless you are extremely unlucky and do some great mischief, you are not likely to go away anytime soon. When that happens, you will have at least 10 years before you go away, you will have an active life, which is up to 75. In the meanwhile, government still doesn't understand that 58 is no more the retirement age. So they may at the most push it to 62, after that to 65. Then there will be 10 years of life. How much morning walk you can do, how much serials you can watch. You will have to do something. So today, if you finish so-called education at 25 and you are active till 75, then you have a 50-year career. And in a 50-year career, there are actually 5 10-year careers. Because every 10 years, something very big is happening in the world which is changing. Like current decade is going to be about AI and machine learning and all that. Every 10 years, the world is changing. So what is the point here? The point here is that we had for decades thought life is a neat package. The package, that's the trigger of that question. That package is up to 22 to 25 I will study. From 22 to 25 till 58, 60 I will work. And after 60 I will retire. This is the pattern on which for a couple of centuries the world moved on. So much so that 3 years after I got a job, I was working, and by that time my salary had become 1200 rupees per month. It was a big money for me. I was about to have a child. I joined in a diploma course. My mother scolded me and she said, you are already employed, you are going to be a father, why are you still studying? Because for her, life has a very simple package. You study to get a job. After you get a job, there is no need to study. Once you have got a job and it's a good job, by the way, I started in public sector, so I understand green color note sheets. So, therefore, for her, there is nothing like any continuous learning. There is only continuous working, earning, and then retiring. So, if you work after 58, right now it happened. I have another aunt living. She calls me and says, you have already passed 60 years, why are you still working? Because people have lived with an idea that 25 studies, 60 retirement, after that retirement. This world has changed. Before our eyes, it has changed. What will happen now? Your children, when you think they are doing very well, they will suddenly stop and go for trekking, hiking, doing things which you will not believe that they will do. Somebody will say, I will try a cinema, I'll do some media, I'll do something. You must be back in your home, you must just test what I am saying. The classic notion of PO exam, with which I grew up, probationary officer, is no more the notion of how you get into a job, isn't it? Join as a PO, end up as a chairman, very nice, I love that man, but the issue is, nobody has patience for a thing like that. Nobody has patience for a thing like that. In that kind of a world, continuous learning is a survival imperative. Continuous learning is a survival imperative. If somebody asks you a question, why are you breathing? Why are you eating? What research says that eating is important? What research says that breathing is important? You are not searching for evidence for it. Same is true for learning, my friends. If you ever believe that learning is an optional subject, you have a choice not to learn, then you have a choice not to live well. That's as simple as that. So this is the most important reason why we should learn, not because some professor comes and gives a lecture. This is incidental. It's your life, your living, your ability to be relevant, to be able to have a meaningful conversation with your grandson. Forget about anything else and not be cursed by him by saying, my grandfather doesn't even understand what is AI. You will be ashamed of yourself if you are not learned enough and not equipped enough with the changes that are happening in the world. So learning is not an option. It is a compulsion, a survival imperative. So, at this stage, I have said a couple of things. I said continuous learning is an action that we have to integrate with life. That we should not separately treat learning as something else we do only in a classroom or something. Every moment is a moment for learning. Okay, second, I said that organizations, individuals have to come together and create learning because both it is financially rewarding and also it is personally rewarding. I also said that we do not learn enough because we don't even surface the obstacles for learning. We just push them under the carpet. We don't even recognize, we don't even acknowledge, this is not even a subject. I don't think any time any performance review of yours has been done where some boss has genuinely asked you a question, what did you learn last year? Huh? If somebody asks that question, that is because in the template it is written 5% weightage to self-development. Then it is asked, that the answer also is like KPI only. So from the question answer, both are checklist questions. But genuinely if I ask you, just come to me, I'll ask you in a way that you will feel shaken up from within, that you actually wasted 1 year and didn't learn anything. It's interesting how this question is not even an organizational question. Forget about creating continuous learning. If that is not so, why would you learn? If nobody asks you if you have learned, why would you learn? Okay, this is human. So the question is, we need to seriously think, really our organizations, are they even learning? Forget about continuous learning. If they are learning, what are the processes they are following? What are the practices they have? You all come from eminent organizations. Your organizations are role models for a lot of wannabe NBFCs. They are all looking at you to learn from you how to become such a trusted bank. So you have a responsibility to lead the leadership of banking industry through your own learning. So I am asking you the question, do your organizations foster a learning culture? If yes, how? What of that is working and what is not working? At least for God's sake now, frankly, surface the issues that are really not working. Because the more we hide it, the more we will not solve it. So here is, what is the time now? It's about 3:54. Till about 4:15, because if they're not important, what slides I have brought, what I have done. This discussion is important. Till about 4:15, you please discuss in your tables these three questions. What do we do in organization to foster a learning culture? If we say yes, then I want to hear what practices we have. If we say no, that's the story. Very good. I'm happy. No problem. What is working and what is not working? Okay? The request is clear. Everybody understands? Discussion has already started at that table, which is very nice. Okay. I'll be here sitting, resting till about 4:10 and I'll call you back. Oh.
Then, if anything new, we can get certificate. Performance then at the end of the year, he will also that's 1 minute. After the year he can choice the best performance. He can choice for his own choice. This is incentives are given. Choice posting for also. Yeah. Yes. Mentioned in the HRMS who have got the choice based on their ranking. Every time you apply for leave, comes a question. Knowledge based. Redefining पहले आपका विभिन्न डिग्रीज के क्वेश्चन आते हैं 5 क्वेश्चन देन किया जाएगा आपका सीसो का क्वेश्चन आता है साइबर सिक्योरिटी रिलेटेड क्वेश्चन पूरा रेगुलर आता है and compliance, and that is more than solution that we need to pay attention. The change that we it will We are not making it compulsory. How to make it compulsory? How to make it compulsory for everyone? Disincentive should be transferred out. Some kind of disincentive should be left out of this person has got option of either attending or taking. If you take sleep, unless they will always produce. Normally you cannot impose, you cannot ask the sick person. जो मेरा प्रश्न है आई कैन सारा कर देगा यू टेक द क्लास मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम क्लासरूम में तो खड़ा ही रहना I have not heard any. Overall, persons who are in charge, they are also not feeling that learning is very important. Okay, अपना कर लेते हैं. They are not doing that. They are not doing that. इस बारे में आई. You have issues like this. Up to that phase, therefore, the same, because the leaders will emerge in a different manner. They are ultimately the leaders, the creative body is the leaders again. Nagaras, he is saying yes here. MD could not attend because he is to face the parliamentary committee. He knows everything. He is going there. He is doing what? This is when the invited MD is not that we have to take an admission. This questionnaire is like the almost the same. I am observing and I am not observing. That is the just you say like words are something. I will discuss all this thing in the what program we should have.
Keep learning.
I was very impressed. Anyway,
So did you close, sir?
I closed because I was very clear. I cannot afford to have so many. Here, can you see what is an account, what was it, then after that.
What type? Oh my God.
Time is up. Yes. Thank you. Can you hear me? You can hear me. Can you hear me there? Very good, very good. I'm more worried there than here because that's too far. So, can we therefore start with your table, gentlemen? The last table. Now don't look behind. You are enough. Last enough. Your table. Okay, you can start, but I was looking at the next. Because yours is not even a table, it's a bunch of chairs. Okay, so the last table I see is here.
This one, sir?
Yeah, next one, yes. Next one. The next one. That one, yes. Go ahead, yeah, wherever you have raised hands. Go ahead. Go ahead, let me see first, listen to you. Yeah, what did you think?
So, thank you so much, sir, for giving this opportunity to speak about a very, very difficult topic actually you have given, creating a learning culture. And as far as my understanding about learning goes, learning cannot be forced, should not be forced.
Correct.
And therefore, disincentivizing doesn't work that way. Incentivizing will work only and only when people are hungry to take it. So it is not a matter of the things that you have best of the bouquet in the plate. It's the matter of the thing when they are ready to eat that bouquet.
So sorry, I'm pausing you. We are looking at practices in real world.
Yeah, I'm coming to that.
Yeah, come. Your opinions apart, what is actually happening? Is learning being forced in our organizations?
To an extent, in every organization, not only our bank, in every banking what we are talking about, it is being, to an extent, being forced.
Okay. Is it like you are asking your son to study up to class 10? Because it must be. See, institutions are created
Yes.
to allow a minimum amount of learning for the institution to function. So maybe we create families, we ask children to learn. The forcing starts when we start forcing them after class 12 to say you must do engineering because that was my dream. But up to class 10, I think there is some mandatory learning that people have to do in order to survive, isn't it? So is it that kind of learning being forced, or is it an extra learning that is being forced?
It's actually a mandatory type of learning that is being
So
forced.
is that bad or good?
It's really good.
So let's get this right, very clearly. But still, that is something that people don't seem to enjoy.
Yeah.
So we have to find out why. So is it the problem with learning, or how the learning is being provided?
Actually, there is no one method fits all kind of methodology that is there.
Therefore, do we recognize that variety?
We are experimenting with so many things. We are going hybrid, we are going collaborative, we are experimenting with the methodologies as well, and we are finding solutions also.
Good.
It's the only thing that we are struggling, rather industry as a whole is struggling, is called return on training investment. So we cannot say like we use Kirkpatrick model also, in which we are going till reactions and also behavioral aspect. At the last moment in the business impact, when we are seeing it, we are not able to relate those learning, how it is translating into the numbers, because that is not very relatable things.
It's possible. We'll talk about, you seem to be a learning man. So we go quickly to the non-learning, the line managers of the bank. Okay, in your table, sir, next table.
That is also learning.
Let's see. Let me see. I deliberately create the group. Yeah.
So, sir, this first question.
First question, no, second question, let's start. Because he said that there is a mandatory question. Yeah, go ahead.
Start from first question.
Okay.
I'm having some another perspective. So for this question, I'm having answer as yes. So when we say the culture, it comes from the behavior, impact behavior, and it's being developed by the attitude of the management. So for us, we have good tone from the top in Union Bank of India, and we are having LAC, Learning Advisory Council. So it happens quarterly, and they highlight the importance of the learning, and that creates the good culture in the bank. So for this specific process, what I can say, in our banks, we have governance structure for this learning and development, we have policy, and we have good arrangement for this externals and internal trainings, structured class trainings, and then forums. We are having forums with our verticals. We are having a specialized units, and we are discussing the things with the verticals. We are discussing the problems with the business owners. So that is creating good culture in our bank.
Good. So you, for your table, the right question would be what is not working?
Yeah, so I'm coming to this question number 2. So, of course, culture is being developed. I can say it is not mature to being converted to what you say the doing, from learning to doing. So that is there, and what is my understanding, the connection between whatever we are providing in our structured classes and the requirement is there at the base. Some gaps I am having, and that has to be filled.
Okay, understood. So the gap between what is needed and what is being taught. Yeah, this table.
Good afternoon, sir. All the dignitaries, good afternoon. Sir, actually, quickly I will complete all the 3 questions what we have discussed. So, what is working in our organization to foster the continuous learning? Sir, actually in the ask triangle, like skill, knowledge and attitude. So, we are working on the attitude part so that it will reduce the gap between the knowing and doing, what we believe. If at all really a negative attitude person shifts himself during the training into a positive attitude, definitely it adds a very big number in the business, sir. and what is really working. Sir, we have tested in the last 1 year, taking the participants to the field visits and delivering the sessions in a rice mill. If at all we are telling something about rice mill, and delivering sessions in the field itself. So demarcation, all these things actually we are practically delivering. At that time, what kind of learnings they are making, it is having a very good impact
Yes.
in terms of no observations by the auditors. So
Very
it
good.
is adding to the compliance part, what we believe, and it is reducing the audit irregularities. And with respect to what is not working, sir will tell, sir, and what can be done more, let me tell. Sir, exactly, there is no particular system, I believe. You cannot question me Gupta, you have not learned anything. Because my previous experience is my master to learn something. I have done some mistake and somebody has pointed out, and I am in the next time whenever I am doing, I am not committing that particular mistake. And that is from my experience I have learned, and it is equal to your continuous learning, what I believe. And what is not working, sir will tell.
Very interesting. Okay.
One of the things which we have realized, Professor, is that even if there is good intent from the participant to learn, but they genuinely don't have time. So there is work pressure which unfortunately they are not able to set aside for learning, right? So that is what is not working, even if whatever he has said is predominantly true in majority of the cases. It is relevant, it is can be applied.
No, very true. I understand that. Yeah, a lot of pressure.
And I just want to deliberate one point which we as a group were discussing. See, one of the things which we are unable to capture today is the 70% learning on the job. Somehow we are always quantifying the 10%, and we are saying that, hey, this is that 5% into your balance scorecard or whatever the matrices are, but we are unable to actually say that, hey, where did that 70% go? We don't have an answer, Professor. Happy to hear your views, but as an organization, all the time some learning is happening, but we are unable to quantify or codify it.
Very true, very true. It's possible to do it, though. Very possible. There are already proven models for it. And I'll talk about that. Any other quick comment? Well, it's a large room. We can go on till 6 o'clock, which you will not allow. Therefore, yeah.
So maybe sitting in corporate office, I keep getting some change. As an organization, we have to be very, very agile to understand what is externally making changes, what is internally happening, what are the skill gaps which are coming in, what are the business models which are changing. So if we are not conscious enough to the external market, and time is the essence, and the speed eats the small.
No, understood. The importance is understood.
Yeah.
Question, we are trying to see what's actually happening on the ground.
So we are unable to formulating, having processes, policies, we are bringing it, but execution, we are missing it. Execution, we are falling short.
Okay. Any other comment? Yeah.
One thing I would like to add, sir.
Go ahead. I'll handle it.
Besides making it a sort of mandatory, like highlighting the importance of learning and teaching, also at various forums and the various practices, what our colleagues have told, because which I am not going to repeat, what I think we have been able to dwell more on the quality of teaching, quality of learning. I think that has helped, and gradually I am saying it that it is becoming more of aspirational. People are actually keen to come. I think seeking and the hunger part is coming up, and that is where what is really working.
Good.
That is there.
Very good.
And not working, again, I'll be highlighting it very particularly, because despite all the efforts by all my colleagues, etc., in terms of the e-learning model, or we can say the self-paced learning, it is still miles to go, I would say, because the self-paced learning is not something which is creating as much impact as we are envisaging, and that is where we are looking for how to make it really more aspirational, so that people are really keen to look forward for
Absolutely. It may be interesting to check the person who's not learning the course in your own bank's own system. Is he joining a Coursera course by paying a fees outside?
Actually, we have incentivized, even for Coursera we are paying, that is not an issue.
In that also it's not happening.
That is not an issue. Issue is that somewhere, the nudging is more required, or maybe to make it more important.
Yeah.
Just one observation connecting to what Professor is saying. This specific to one bank. We run a course at NIB. We run a course on online trading. That's credit management. Particularly, there's one course on credit management. And in one bank, they started with nominating a large number of people. So we thought that yes, people will come. They will complete a 6 months course. We will also do a finishing faster. We have credit. We have other courses also. What we found suddenly was that there were many people. That is something that is discussed. There are many.
You are better off.
So there were many people who completed, not only completed the credit management course, then they started so they started calling us and asking, now I want to do treasury management. Then we asked them, why do you want to do treasury management? We asked them because we thought that treasury management was a bit more complicated. Isn't that function? No sir, I'm in a Fatehpur branch. And you want to do treasury management, why? He said, no, tomorrow if I do treasury management, I might go up to a management to say that I would like to be posted over there.
Correct.
And the guy who is doing treasury management, he can also say, he is in a branch, let me tell you, he is in a field. He is also telling that I might want to do the risk management. And for that particular bank, self-nominations. Now it started with nominations, then it started with self-nominations.
So the point is that if there is a perceived link between career growth and learning, then there is a greater pull towards learning.
But here what I want to implement here, sir, is that maybe what you're looking at is in that particular case, because there is a great amount of, that kind of feel that yes, if I learn, there is a possibility of going ahead.
So management has created a linkage between career development and learning. So if somebody has learned treasury as well as credit appraisal, then he probably is considered on a priority for a position. And if at any time we are able to get out of the so-called seniority system and then give really priority to learning, then obviously there will be a lot of learning orientation in organizations. But the bigger question is that why is that, we need to create such what I call unsustainable incentives for learning. And how can only career be the provocation for learning? What about other things? So there are lots of methods by which, organizations. So let me do some time check with Dr. Bindu. Now I know that immediately after the session is a tea break. So can I eat into your tea break for about 10-15 minutes?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Please.
Because obviously I came a little late. Plus we have been talking. So we'll drink tea for less time.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So let me quickly go through a couple of things that we should know as to how might we be doing it. You know this, so I don't want to spend any time on this. So the question you had asked is that the 70% time that we are spending on experience, we are not able to measure it. We are not able to know whether experience is creating learning. This is where the role of the manager comes into play. This experience converting into learning cannot happen in a classroom. So this is how I went through. I worked in some organizations. Plus, I'll give you an organization which is very well known for it. That is McKinsey. In McKinsey, one of the ways in which people learn on a daily basis is, so suppose McKinsey consultants come to me for making a presentation saying that I should use their tools or their strategy, planning, etc. to do something and pay a fees to them. So they bring in the team, they deliberately bring one very experienced person, one half experienced person, and two young people who don't have any experience. And they come to the room, they present, they do everything, and they let everybody speak, including the less experienced person to speak. Then in the same office in which is not their office, they request my secretary for a conference room after their meetings with us is over. And they take their team to the conference room and the senior man sits down and asks, how did this meeting go? What did we do? How could we convince the client? What did you think you did? What did you think you did? How could we have said? What were the client's comments? What do we learn from it? And one person makes a few notes and he circulates it on email that from this meeting with the client, this is what we learned. Then those emails get into a knowledge repository. And those repositories are available like ChatGPT on an Ask, which is a knowledge management system. So suppose a new person from McKinsey comes to me, again after 6 months, before he comes to me, he checks that and finds out when did last McKinsey go to this client? What happened in that meeting? What were the learning hour of people? What should I do differently? Then he asks that question, it comes. This is actually happening in an organization. Learning can happen. I was giving this example. Learning happens the best when the manager takes the initiative. I was giving an example which is worth giving to a bigger audience. So given my life stage and age, I started deciding that I have too many bank accounts and my CA is harassing me towards the end of the year to give me statements. And since I don't use some of those bank accounts, my internet banking is dead. I have to physically go to a branch to collect a statement and give it, and it has some 10,000 rupees. There is no point in that. So I decided that I'll close a bank account. Now the interesting thing is closing a bank account is more difficult than opening one. Okay? And for good reasons. People should hold on. Deposit mobilization is a KPI. On that basis, if both people withdraw, then what will happen to the bank? So the poor branch manager was a very diligent man, extremely diligent man, and he spent a lot of time with me persuading me that I should keep the bank account. And he said, I will ensure, you may take my number, I will give you the report, why don't I transfer the branch to closer to your home, I will do this, I'll do that. Many things he did, I must really give him credit. That's not the story. The story is while he was doing that with me, he noticed something. Because your manager's rooms are glass cabins. From the room he noticed that there is a bank, lower level bank employee who is somewhat rudely behaving with a customer. And he told me, sir, please give me a few minutes. I'll just come back. I need to attend something urgent. He left my room, went to that place and told the lady, what are you asking? So she said, I just am telling her that she should wait in the sofa there and not come here. This is inside and all that. She said, no, that's okay. So he goes and deals with the customer and says, what do you want, madam? This is what I want. I was given this name. This person is supposed to sit here. I'm looking for him. So he says, okay, this person was sitting here, but he's been changed. Now I'll go and bring him for you. He goes, brings him, introduces the both, and they go together. Then he takes this lady who was shunting away to a room. There is some kind of a pantry room near the locker room and all that. And it is visible to me. I am able to hear what he is doing. And very politely tells her that, look, what you are doing might cost our jobs. You do not understand that these days customers are not even coming to the branch. Right now I am dealing with a very senior customer. I wish he kept his account. He doesn't want to keep his account. Now if we deal like this with the customers, why will they come to our branch? Please ever don't do this. It's so important to kind of make them, in fact you should take them, sit down, help them with whatever they want. Never ask them to go away. It is what he tells her. And she looks at him and she says, sorry sir, I thought she's intruding. She says, no, even if she is intruding, we have to deal with her with respect. And he comes back to me and talks to me as though nothing has happened and continues to persuade me. He says, I will visit your house, I will do this, that and all that. So this is learning on the ground, teaching on the ground. What the manager is doing, if every manager did, learning will become a culture. If that manager every weekend after this very high pressure banking hours are over, if half an hour all of the branch people sat down and talked, what did we learn last week? What kind of problems you faced? You will be surprised how many new things they will learn, much more than any classroom can teach them. So to your question, how do we bring the 70% of experience into learning? Now basically I am saying that I ask my CEOs whom I coach and I deal with, I teach CEOs in the classroom. I ask them a question that when a person comes to you, some CEOs, often very CXOs report to them. When the head of sales reports to you or head of manufacturing reports to you, when he comes to your room, you are asking how did the last shift go? How did the sales go? Or whatever in your business, what is the collection happened or not? How many accounts are still passing the date? when the report gone to RBI, as this has happened? These are transactional questions you are asking. Imagine that you said, okay, this question I will ask in alternative weeks. I'll have 4 meetings with that man, but in 1 week I'll ask these transactional questions. In the other week I'll ask him questions like, what are we learning from our work? What do you think I should learn more? What do you think your team should learn? What do you think what do you think we are not doing right? Who of your team members are weak? What in areas they are not strong enough? What should we do differently? What is competitive bank doing better? What can we learn from that? Now, if this is the conversation you have with a direct report of yours, then learning becomes a culture. Otherwise, only performance becomes a culture. What we are reviewing is what we get. If we review performance, you will get performance. If you review learning, you will get review learn. That's as simple as it. People respond to what we review. And in our review, we do not consider learning as an important investment. And if we consider, then they are all checklist items, which is, did you do KPI 5% weightage to self-development? We had 30 courses, have you attended 25? Those are not. The question to ask is not whether you attended 25. The question to ask, which of those 25 was of any value to you? And why was it of any value to you? What did we learn from it? How will you go and use it? What can I do to help you use it? Aren't these the questions that people should ask? Can these questions be codified, manualized, operationalized, institutionalized, made into processes, and managers asked and kind of influenced to practice? Of course it can. It's possible to do all this, because it is with similar spirit that we have managed to find out how accounts should be opened, how accounts should be, all that we do in the bank has been manualized, codified. Similarly, these processes can also be codified, manualized, and we can always create processes around that. That is the way to turn experience into learning. Otherwise, experience will look like, oh, I have 20 years experience. In IT function, it's called legacy system. The older your system is, the less useful it is, and the less relevant it is. So this is the point. Somebody talked about Kirkpatrick, and the big thing about here is not the model. The big thing is not to confuse learning with remembering, but learning with impact. Now, there was an interesting question that we are not able to measure. It is not true that we cannot measure. Have an offline discussion with me. I'll be able to give you a very practical approach to how a particular learning experience can be measured in terms of outcomes, in terms of business outcomes. Every learning outcome can be measured in business outcomes and proven also. Yeah, go ahead.
Shall I go ahead, sir? Suppose we mostly deal into the leadership development programs, and which are mostly a behavioral kind of aspects which we deal with. Now there are certain parameters based on which a individual performs in a business numbers. So how at what confidence level I can say, okay, this training parameter has influenced the performance at the workplace?
Yeah, it depends on, very simply, if you teach behaviors that lead to business performance, then the linkage can be assessed. The problem we have is, we teach emotional intelligence, presentation skills, but we do not teach customer handling skills. If we teach them, we teach them at a level at which it is not practically monitored. You come and sit with me, I design a course. First of all, if you want to measure anything, it cannot be post the event consideration. It has to be pre the event consideration. If you want to measure the effectiveness of this lecture, then I and Dr. Bindu should have agreed, what will we measure it at? Is it participation? Is it what is the measure at which we will do? So first of all, most programs are created without keeping the mend and the measure in mind. Then what happens? The measures do not relate to what we need to measure. So for example, if there is research which shows, for example, if this branch manager whose example I gave you, if he can influence all his staff to deal with customers better, is there a chance that his deposits will increase? Is there a chance that more people will ask for his car loans? Now, if there is none, then don't teach them customer skills. But if there is, then teach them and then figure out whether that has happened. Even if it is a correlation, not a causation, it is still a confidence. Anyway, no behavior can lead to a causation because there are lots of external factors. But a reasonable confidence can be built if you identify in a granular way what behaviors impact what results in business terms. And that work people do not do. First of all, most of our training is very high level, abstract, fancy, bandwagon dependent. They are all talk, for example, take this. Right now there must have been sessions on digital and all that. Now, what happens is all goes over our heads. Because we don't do the hands-on thing that we need to do. What is that? I have a system, I have an app, that app is not doing as well as Yono is doing, or my app is better than that. What has been the subscription? What do I learn from that to the so-called digital strategy is what will actually be real learning. But what happens the other way around? The trainer comes and tells you Xerox did this, some other company did this, that happened, this happened. You consider it as a lecture and then you expect behavior to change. It will not. Lectures are the least useful methods to change any behavior. So the summary I want to make, if you define what you want to teach, what you want to measure, and link the measure between the teach and the measure, and set that in ahead of time, and revise your pedagogy, and ensure that you do not lecture, you do not give abstract fancy jargon, but actual practical work that needs to be learned, even in a leadership program. I have a personal example of training leaders, and for a particular cause of saving costs, and the leaders went and close to about $100 million of savings happened in a large company. And we have measured the savings after the program, and we could attribute it to the change of behaviors by the leaders. So it is not impossible to measure or anything. The design of the training, the delivery of the training, the content of the training, the measure itself, and the established method of linking them are all broken today. We are not doing an integrated job of it. So this is why it is not happening, according to me. But it's possible to do this. But more important is that, please, in our minds at least, if we do not confuse learning with the memory or knowledge, but equate it with action, then that is real change. The real change is the real purpose of learning. The purpose of learning is not knowing, but doing. That's all the classic statement that I want to leave you with. If you are not doing anything different from Monday morning, then all that you did here, if it was meant to be a learning, if it was meant to be a networking, lunching event, then you probably already have achieved the goal. But if it was meant to be a learning event, then the question is, are you doing anything different? That question has to be asked before the event started, not after the event happened. Then the event will be organized differently, structured differently, delivered differently. That's the point. So anyway, the Knowing Doing Gap, I would like you to read this book. There is a beautiful book called The Knowing Doing Gap. It will take you more. But one of the easiest way to bridge the gap between knowing and doing is this whole reflection loop. After knowing something new, you should sit down for a minute and ask, what about this new matters to me? That's called reflection. What is the value? I heard so many things about digital. Which piece is going to be some relevant to me in the next week? What can I do about it tomorrow? When you have that, then the next question will be, you will practice something about it. When you practice, it will not work, not fully work. There will be failures, there will be difficulties, there will be challenges. Then you again reflect. What happened? Why did it not work the way I expected it to work? Then you learn something new. That becomes your new knowledge. And that knowledge you reflect again. It's a loop. It's a continuous loop between knowing, reflecting, doing, reflecting, knowing. If you build that loop in your own mind and behavior as a way of living, not as a way of somebody giving you that bottle, you will be surprised that there's a lot of learning that will automatically happen. And that's the reason why these things are taught, but there are many methods by which you can do that. So I must roughly end by saying that we must concede that no individual alone can complete this learning loop in a company. If your organizations have to have a learning culture, then three forces must come together. Your leadership must be committed to learning, not as checklists, not to show we have invested so many rupees, so many man hours were spent in learning classes, so many conferences were organized. None of them are statements of actual learning measurement. But so many people's behavior changed, banks' performance improved. We are now considered, even if there are no great performance improvements, at least people find our bank very community friendly. Suppose that is my measure and I can establish that with data, then that is called impact, and that's what leadership should be worried about. It should actually I have, by the way, somebody was mentioning to me that you have a LAC, Learning Advisory Council. Believe me, I have sat through that in banking industry. In banking industry, I have sat through learning advisory committees. I know how ritualistic they are. They're very ritualistic. They're all about calendar. They're all about staff availability, why this course is happening, what did the cost happen, are we paying TADA, this guest house there, what kind of thing, why don't we invite that person to this talk, all kinds of things are discussed there, nothing to do with what actually happened to learning. So I also worked, in a, you're NIBM, no? So I worked in some places with RBI, because I worked for some time with RBI in terms of assisting their board in some human capital area. So I visited the Chennai college and the Pune college and all that. And so I saw that a lot of rituals have overtaken. A lot of hierarchy has overtaken. That's another problem. Learning cannot flourish under hierarchical environment. Because it is not about giving orders, no. It is not about that. It's a very different subject. It needs an open mind. It needs debate, discussion, a treatment of equality with people. It's not everybody is looking at the boss, the chairman of that meeting who has 2 lakhs above and saying, okay, did we do it? Every meeting is a review meeting. There is no discussion. Everybody is worried about just showing the best side of themselves. And in that environment, no learning will flourish. I'm being very critical, please don't mind. But you got to change some of these things, and that can happen only if the leadership changes. Then a lot of the burden I told you is on the manager. Please do not escape, don't outsource your learning function to your learning department. Dr. Bindu cannot do learning for the organization of Union Bank. Every manager has to do it. And what they can do, she cannot do. She has to assist them to do it better. That's a different way. So whenever any chief learning officers reported to me, I told them, please don't take over this learning function others. Let the managers not outsource it to you. Let them use you as an expert center to assist you with resources, but let them take the lead to see that their people are learning, both on the job and off the job. Finally, individuals, like you said, unless there is an appetite in the individuals, obviously it is going to be, you cannot force learning on anybody, but creating the appetite. So when famously people say, you can take the horse to the water but cannot make it drink, I always tell them, but I can attempt by making couple of things. By making the water more tasty, by making the distance between the water and the horse shorter, by making the horse more thirstier, and making the water more useful to the water so that the horse will feel like drinking. All these are still in my hands. So I cannot excuse myself and say I took the horse to the water and I am watching it is not drinking, because your water is not worth drinking. Therefore the horse is not drinking. Is my point, So there is an onus on the horse as well as on the organization. Each one of them, in spite of it, the horse is not drinking, it is likely to die, because if you don't drink water, you will die. So the point is, we must understand, back in your organizations when you go back from a learning conclave, if you can sit down and think, what are our leadership doing? What is our managers doing? And what are individuals doing? Go out of jargon and create specific interventions, then they will help a lot. And let me see what else I have, but I want to close. Yeah, I wanted to talk a few things which I have probably skipped. So the top 3 frameworks beyond this, before this. See, if you want learning to happen, the following things must happen. This is the crucial side. Peter Senji is one of the best known thinkers in terms of learning. He says that employees cannot learn unless they see the big picture. The problem that happens is we have so considered hierarchy that we think that somebody who is a recent officer, somebody who's just an entry at the level of a branch, need not know many things. Need not know how the bank is doing, need know what is the competition, did not know what audit happened, what observations made about us, what competitors are thinking, why our app failed, why our information system is not working. None of this, many people try to hide it under our cabins. In the absence of a big picture, people are not machines. Machines don't need big picture, by the way. But people need big picture. Everybody, irrespective of, in last janitor also needs to know what is happening. The context makes life and work more meaningful. Suppose suddenly one photocopier is removed in the same, in the drive of cost saving. Then the person who is standing near the photocopier needs to know why it was removed. It cannot be just put on an order that somebody gave to somebody, somebody gave to somebody, somebody gave to somebody, and somebody suddenly removed the photocopier. You think in an environment like that, that man will ever understand why a photocopier is required or not required? So the big picture is extremely important. Please do not keep the big picture only to the big people. All people need big picture. That is the first important thing. Second thing is, individuals are assigned to tasks where they can apply what they do. So biggest complaint of all organizations is, I learn but I am not assigned to the task that I have. So I learned credit appraisal. For the next 6 years I have never done any credit appraisal. What is the point? This is a huge issue. And we do not. So in fact the LAC I sat in, I advised the chairman that please don't forget discuss LAC here. Don't discuss learning here. Call your HR and personnel manager and ask him and ask the departmental heads, how are they connecting this program to what people are doing on the job? And if that is done, the learning will improve automatically. The next thing is mistakes are tolerated. This is not something that happens. This is in our companies, in our organizations, mistakes are not tolerated often. And if they are tolerated because there is a union or there is some pressure or something. Otherwise, they are not tolerated. And that's not necessarily the best because you do not learn. Your child never learned cycling without falling. And you tolerated it. Now you can't tell your other child that you will not fall. It's not possible. Similarly, situational constraints must be identified and minimized. What are the things that are happening? You want an app, but you don't have resources to create an app. Then obviously this is not the fault of anybody. It's the resource problem. New ideas are encouraged. Supervisors and co-workers support, and policies and practices support the effectiveness of learning. These are, proven factors. If these are happening in your organizations, then learning will happen. If they are not happening, it will be ad hoc, episodic, and temporary. That is the reason why we don't have a culture. We just have some events. Events are tamasha. They are not actual causing learning. So now I come back. So I want to end this session. Thank you for your patience with just these key points. My first point is, which I started, I think we already know how to build a learning culture. We just don't do it. That's our biggest problem. And let's go back from this room and say, let's do what we already know. That is much more important than to know more. Because if you know more and do less, the gap is very frustrating. Second, the boiling frog syndrome. You know the boiling frog syndrome? The frog never realizes that it is started boiling. We are all under that world. If you do not understand it, I will be really sad. Believe me, every day I wake up worrying whether my job will remain, even at this age. Because believe me, youngsters assisted by technologies can do a much better job of training than I do. Every day I have to wake up and think, how do I survive in this world of so much of competition? It's a very important issue. If you do not have, you will be.
But it's a more bigger issue for those who are in the
40 age group, no?
Yeah.
Not for you.
Yeah.
For them it is.
Not for me, because I am ambitious, my friend. So I hope to work till 75. Okay. So I mean, as I'm in 60s, I think I'm in 40s. My wife always tells me that. So yeah, but 40s are all worried. Absolutely, they should be worried. But I am also worried because I want to stay relevant even for a longer duration, hopefully. So it's a question of ambition. No? You can't, if you don't have ambition. I can't live life by playing golf. Huh? But that's not enough for me. I can play golf, but just to imagine that I just watch TV play with the grandchild is impossible. I need to do something meaningful that make work till my last breath. That's how I'm made.
Why I said it was, it's a really serious issue
It
for
is.
the 40 years.
I fully agree, but it is also a
Especially
serious
in the
issue
IT
for
sector.
you, is what I'm saying. So by just transferring this responsibility to 40-year-old, you cannot just excuse yourself. Sorry about it. I can see you and know your age roughly. So now, the things that are required: psychological safety, which means bosses allow you to talk. Like for example, hopefully he allowed me to talk. Okay, and I allowed him to talk. This is psychological safety. If there is a fear, retaliation, that I talk tomorrow, my promotion will be delayed, then obviously there will be no learning. Psychological safety, tolerance to mistakes, opportunities to practice what we learn, a shared vision about what we want to learn, top management's role, modeling themselves, attending themselves here and going back and saying this is what I learned, and rewarding learning are the prerequisites for building a learning culture. These are known, they can be practiced. Let us measure learning by impact, not by information. That's the point which that man there said, and I fully respect what he says. We need to work hard on measuring learning. Not only for ROI, but ROI is just one impact. Return is not impact. Impact is bigger than return. You must understand that. Return is more sustainable than impact. Impact is more sustainable than return. And then continuous learning is not an option, but a survival imperative. That's what I want to end with this. I hope this was of some use to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for such an insightful and entertaining session. Your ability to make all of us laugh frequently while delivering such meaningful insights truly made this experience unforgettable. We deeply appreciate the energy and wisdom you have brought in for this session.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's give sir another big round of applause for his exceptional session. I request Dr. Chetna Pandey, Madam, General Manager, HR, Union Bank of India, just to give a token of appreciation to sir.
You are giving me something?
Yes.
Okay, then I'm ready. आजकल कौन देता है यार? यार हमें फोटो भी दे रहे हो, बहुत बढ़िया. आइए मैडम. ऐसी चीजों में हचकारा नहीं है, बिल्कुल ले जाना चाहिए. Thank you so much. Yeah. Okay, let's go. I don't want to miss your tea. Give me also some tea.
Friends, we will have a short tea break for 10 minutes and we'll be back for the last session, panel discussion.
1, 1, 2, 1, 1. Yeah, no, let me finish.
Ready? Hi ma'am, welcome to CNBC-TV18 and there's a few questions we want to ask about your Ignite 2025. So let me start with the what inspired the Union Bank to organize Ignite 2025 and what are the event's objectives?
Ready?
Hi ma'am, welcome to CNBC-TV18 and there's few questions we want to ask about your Ignite 2025. So let me start with the what inspired the Union Bank to organize Ignite 2025 and what are the event's objectives?
Yeah, this event has a genesis on two aspects. Number one was that Union Bank has been leading in HR transformation initiatives post-amalgamation, wherein we have revamped the processes, revamped the HR systems, as well as the overall cultural integration, taking multiple initiatives in the learning and development space, bringing some of the best practices. Now, at the next level, we need to collaborate and share those learnings across the banking industry so that they can benefit out of whatever we have gained through these experiences. The second aspect is that it was also an ask from the Department of Financial Supervision to all the public sector banks and other banks that they should collaborate and come together for training initiatives by cross-bank participation as far as training outcomes are concerned, even training delivery is concerned. So keeping this in mind, Ignite 25 aims at bringing all the HR leaders and training heads, not only from private banks, also public sector banks and other training institutions who are into the training of banking related topics like IDRBT, BIRD. Then also we have brought in RBI so that they can sit together, brainstorm and come out with some key outcomes wherein we can collaborate for overall skill enhancement, career development, leadership development, which will serve the banking industry as a whole. The theme itself is on transforming banking, meaning to say using all these outcomes as well as the experiences which they will share across through this platform that can help all the banks to leverage and transform altogether.
Thank you ma'am, very very interesting and understanding where the HR is initiative from Union Bank of India. So there's one more thing, there's a banking industry first ever HR conclave. What sets Ignite apart from 2025?
We have seen so many business conclaves happening. We have seen many organizations doing HR conclaves, also where the HR leaders converge. This is significant on two aspects. Number one is that it leads more towards collaboration. So the main objective is how we can collaborate together to transform banking, which I said. The second thing, how it gets differentiated, that this is the first time where a bank like us has done this type of initiative or conclave, wherein we have brought training heads and chief learning officers also. Normally it is considered that the trainers or the facilitators, they have a pool of knowledge. So nothing more can be shared or learned by them. Now bringing them together also and the HR leaders to understand what is the expectations of our internal customers, that is our employees, from the training, from the learning, what emerging challenges which the banks are facing, which can be addressed through learning and development. So this all these put together actually sets this conclave completely apart from whatever different types of conclaves we have been seeing nowadays.
Yeah, this looks very, very different and in the first of the kind of things what you're doing. So how will this technology shape the future of HR in banking and what opportunities will it create?
Yeah, so while I was mentioning about the HR initiatives which we undertook in Union Bank of India, it was based under three major pillars. Number one was that we were driving a performance-centric culture in the bank by revamping our performance management systems. Number two was how to bring in the best talent management initiatives wherein we can build the skill gaps and create more and more future leaders. And the third pillar was digitization or leveraging technology in the HR space, which was earlier considered as a myth, wherein technology cannot be equated with HR or HR practices because it has a human touch. But now technology is an enabler. We cannot survive if we don't introduce technology in whatever process we are into. So that's why we feel that using technology as an enabler, artificial intelligence as an assistant, definitely we can revamp and more speed up the growth of human resource potential, because the overall title of this conclave itself is Ignite 25, the Human Potential Conclave, and human potential is immense, and many people are not aware of their own potential. So using technology and this generative AI, how best we can provide so that they can enhance their potential.
Thank you, ma'am. There's one more question, a few questions, as you said, regarding the AI. So, how will the human potential conclave impact the banking sector growth and the development?
Yeah, so this human potential conclave again is based on two major pillars or objectives. Number one was how we can build in enablers for transforming banking. And when we talk about banking, we need to think of all the stakeholders who are involved into this banking process. So not only bringing learning objectives for our internal customers, that is employees, but also for our external customers, because a lot of efforts bank has been taking by creating financial literacy, financial awareness, more and more now digital awareness, because with the increase of risks associated to cybersecurity and also on digital transformations, a lot of disruptions coming into face where the customers are not fully aware of the challenges, of the risks, how these learning and development will enable them. This industry is huge. We cater to so many millions of customers, and this cannot be done single-handedly by any one organization. So the second aspect or the second pillar of this Ignite 25, which is going to actually help, is that we are coming all together, collaborating, networking, so that we can evolve and we can create programs, we can curate learning interventions, not only for our own employees, for the employees across the banking fraternity, and also across the overall customers to which all the banks cater to.
Yes, very interesting. So, what networking opportunities will Ignite 2025 offer, and how will they facilitate the collaboration?
Yeah, so we were looking forward for this kind of conclave when this idea was thought of by our own leaders, especially our MD and CEO, Madam A. Manimeklai, when she was also asking us to design a program or a conclave like this, wherein we can build in more and more stronger network of other organizations also coming together. Most of the time we feel that personally we are doing the best things, but it is only when we come to know, when we bring others also share their best practices, that there is a lot of things more to do. So in that way, this entire activity which we are doing is building a strong network, so that and that has been an eye-opener for many of the organizations who are participating here itself. And many of the guest speakers also, they said that never they have heard of that people, especially organizations who are competing with each other, they are coming together for collaboration. And also collaborating to train their employees who can go for more and more competition. So that also is a unique proposition all in itself. But yesterday actually in a session we heard of, and we all know that the theme called Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. So this entire global world is ours. So we need to own it if we need to grow and progress. So this conclave, through this network, our aim is to grow and progress. Competition automatically will be handled well.
Yes, ma'am. This is one of the unique thing, and this is the first thing what the Union Bank and this initiative have taken about it. So one more last thing to ask you: are these plans for follow-up event or initiative to build on the conclave outcomes for any forthcoming events, basically? How this
Yeah, so currently we had, since doing this a maiden conclave for the first time. So right now our overall action plan was to discuss on the key outcomes or the topics which has been taken, so that we can improvise our own organizational goals, objectives towards the learning and development space, and also create a platform for networking together so that we can have similar conclaves on different other topics. We can network together for design and development for different kind of programs, wherein we find the other organizations may be having higher expertise. And also we can collaborate together for designing some similar type of initiatives. So right now with this objective, this conclave have been designed, but we are quite hopeful and looking forward that this conclave is going to be a genesis to many more collaborative initiatives in the times to come.
Yes, ma'am. Thanks a lot. And this is Dr. Chetna, ma'am, Pandey from GMHR, Union Bank of India.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
We are
check. 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 Hello, check. Check. Hello, check. Hello, check. Check. Check 1, 2, 3. Check. Check. Check 1, 2, 3. Test. And mic check 1, 2, 3. Test. Check. Hello. Test. Check. Test. Check.
आपको सवा 12 बजे है ना लाइट
You want chair?
Welcome back everyone. I hope you all had a refreshing break. It's now time to move into our last segment of our day, a panel discussion on the topic Empowering HR, Transforming Banking. This promises to be an engaging and insightful session with perspectives from some of the brightest minds in the field. To begin, it's my pleasure to invite our esteemed panelists to the dais. First, I invite Dr. Subrat Kumar, CEO, People Lab Private Limited, a strong professional skilled in designing and delivering customized training programs in leadership, team building and customer centricity space for both corporate and academic organizations. Sir will be moderating this panel discussion. Thank you, sir, for leading this important dialogue. Let's welcome him with a big round of applause. Next, I am delighted to welcome our distinguished panel members. First, Mr. Sunil Kumar Singha, Head of Learning and Development, Bank of Baroda. It's an honor to have you here. Please join us on stage, sir. Let's welcome him with a big round of applause. Now I invite Dr. Anjan Roy, who is currently the Dean, Executive Training at the National Institute of Bank Management. Sir, your presence adds great value to this discussion. Let's welcome him with a big round of applause. Next, I invite Mr. Sumesh Kumar, General Manager, HR, Punjab National Bank. Let's welcome him with a big round of applause. With that, let's get started. I now request Dr. Subrat Kumar to take over as the moderator for this session. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much, ma'am. At the very outset, I would like to put on record my thanks for the entire organizing committee for inviting all of us out here. The flow which we are going to follow is I will be just setting the context for precisely 3 to 4 minutes, and then I will be moving to the esteemed panelists with questions, and we may come back to audience at any point of time. It need not be in the end itself. So at any point of time we'll keep it open to the audience. You can jump in, you can ask, you can share whatever you want to. Now, when I was looking at this session context, I was reminded of 4 things, and I will tell you exactly 4 things. In the year 2010, I had privilege of listening to Mr. Adi Godrej. And he said there are 3 most difficult things in the world. 1, to climb a wall which is leaning towards you. 2, to swim against the current when there is a high tide in the sea. And 3, is to take the last session of any conference when everyone is on the edge and everyone has already got plans and they are just waiting how soon this session gets over. And I'm also acutely aware as a moderator that we don't have the luxury of extending time. Before we started, I had a word with Chetna ma'am, and I promised that whatever timeline she has given, I will ensure that we follow to it. I also look at this session as the last day of a test cricket match, the last session. The match is already a draw. Some players have played wonderful knocks. Only statistical interest remains. But what we promise you is that we will make some fireworks and we can go either ways. That's my submission to you. That is as far as the context of this session is concerned. Coming to the context of the topic, let me start with one story. A CFO asked a CEO once, why do we spend so much money on training our employees? What if we train them and they leave the organization? And the CEO replied, what if we don't train them and they don't leave the organization? What will we get? That for me is the importance of training in any organization. I go back to Mr. Richard Dupree, who has been the CEO of P&G from 1948 to 1959. He said, take away my products, take away my money, take away my machines, but leave my people. And I promise you, in a decade, I'm going to create as strong organization as we are today. And he further went on to explain that out of the 7 levers of competitive advantage, there is only one lever which cannot be copied. And that one lever is people power. Money can be arranged. Technology can be bought. Processes can be automated. What is that one thing which cannot be bought or copied is the people power. And I am glad that organizers thought it proper to take this up as a topic of discussion. If I look philosophically, in fact this session is also the summary of all that what we have discussed throughout the 2 days. So I think this is a perfect end to the 2 days of discussion which is there. Now my coming to the role of HR transformation in the org transformation. I firmly believe, and over here I will be quoting what Sanjay said when Dhritarashtra asked Sanjay that, Sanjay, who's going to win the Mahabharat war, and without batting an eyelid, Sanjay said that, oh King, Pandavas are going to win the Mahabharat war. Of course Dhritarashtra was not happy and he asked, why are you saying so? And Sanjay replied, Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna Yatra Partho Dhanurdhara Tatra Sri Vijayo Bhuti Dhruva Nitir Matir Mama. That, oh King, wherever there is Krishna, Krishna is the friend, philosopher, guide. Wherever there is the Arjuna, Arjuna is the warrior. And more importantly, they are on the path of righteousness. The way I look at the role of HR, I look at the role of HR as both of Krishna as well as Arjuna. You are the charioteer of your organization. उस organization के रथ की कमान आपके हाथ में है और वो रथ कहाँ जाएगा ये आपको निर्धारित करना है. And that is why you have to play a very important role. But at the same time, you have to be a warrior like Arjuna who's very focused about the goal. And the HR leaders must also understand the difference between what brings substance and what brings glamour. We will always have a choice of selecting between being critical, bringing critical value add or bringing glamorous value add. And that is where I would also like to draw a line for HR transformation. Now throwing the floor open, my first question is to Sunil Sinha sir. Why do you think with your decades of wisdom, HR transformation is one of the most potent tools for organizational transformation? Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Subrat. I think it is a fabulous question, and I would say the way you started, and I think you concluded also the panel discussion itself. But nonetheless, I'll give my perspective because lately, if you see when we joined the bank, or when most of the people would have joined the bank, and how the things have changed over the period, I'll give you my experiential perspective in terms of how the HR is coming inside the circle and becoming the center stage. And no wonder we are having the topic itself as a matter of discussion. And as we have been seeing it for the last 2 days, how every time this capacity building is coming up at the forefront from various corners. Even if we discuss the technology, even if we discuss the AI, ML, Gen AI, we are coming to a point that ultimately it is the human values, the culture which you are bringing up, what kind of agility you are having in the organization, that is going to pay you off. In the time of instant gratification, what employees are looking for, we have to be mindful. The organizations, the banking sectors are actually required to work like FMCG company. And not only the customers, but also the internal customers, what they are looking for. If that kind of agility we are bringing in, that is the winning point. And that is why this culture, adjustment, shiftment, you can say, the kind of involvement of the leadership, as Professor Chandrasekhar Sripada was rightly telling, that it is more so of survival imperative. So that fits exactly here. And it starts from the leadership. If I can give my example, insofar as Bank of Baroda is concerned, whatever the type of meeting or the discussion we have, the top leadership starts with L&D, starts with capacity building. He quotes, he mentions that what is happening in the organization and what is required to happen. So that the top-down messaging as well as the bottom-up approach in terms of what is required for our employees and involving them, addressing their issues. Say for example, if we have the AI chatbot we launched very recently for the employees, Gyan Sahay. So this kind of instant gratification when I am talking about, it is that agility we are bringing in the system. So it is more of collaborative, what we had been discussing, and it is beyond any doubt that why it should not be at the center stage. It is always about providing all those enablers, what we are looking at, what kind of trust building size we are having, what kind of transparency we are having, what kind of delegation we are making in the organization, whether the employees are able to speak up, leaders are really allowing those window, and it is coming from top to down. So this is, in this perspective, I would say that it is more to that how to build it, how to make it more important. I would like to add to this so that it is really becoming a continuous process and we stay relevant. Look at the customer size, average age of the customer and average age of the employees, average age of the population of the country. There is a big gap. Are we really conscious of it? We need to redefine probably many of the theories which we have been able to build up over the period. I think these are the things which all the organizations are looking at very seriously, and that is why people are becoming at the center stage, and that is why we are having this kind of conglomeration, I would say, one of its kind, and it is going to be repeated more frequently. And how we are going to build up from this is what are the takeaways we are going to have, that would be really beneficial for all of us collectively. I think I will be able to summarize.
Yeah. Thank you so much. So in fact, it's very heartening to hear the involvement of top management. Because I was a part of a discussion many years ago when the then Maruti CHRO had a big problem and the theme of conference was being discussed something around as being an HR as business partner. He said, have you ever seen that marketing people go and say marketing as business partner or finance as business partner? Why do HR people go with a begging bowl and say that, HR as a business partner, please accept it? From that conversation to listening to you today, sir, when the top leadership is involved, it's really heartening to see that we have come a long way. Before I come to Anjan sir, Sumesh sir, my next question is for you. Sumesh sir, how do you ensure that the HR transformation initiatives are aligned to the organizational goals and vision?
Thank you, Saurabh. it's excellent question. And why I'm smiling that 2 years back when I returned from my stint of 3 years as CEO abroad, and before that I worked mostly in credit-oriented branches, and I headed LCB also, large corporate branch. So my ED asked me to, you have to sit in HR. So I asked the same question, sir, I am from different set of background. Why you are putting me HR? When I joined there, then we started some transformation work. Then I realized at that time, Pawan was my partner at that time when we started our transformation. We are still doing that side by side. Then I realized that no transformation can take place without involving HR. Any type of transformation bank is doing, and I have seen in my organization, here everybody must have seen in their life cycle of any one organization or multiple organization. No organization can grow or any project cannot be successful without involving HR. The problem is that sometimes earlier in our organization also we were not taking HR into confidence, because obviously HR is not very, you see, we don't see HR in a black and white perspective. So that was the reason. So we started that, we are doing it like business. Now the most important thing, we have to grow the business. Now for business, it is required that every branch and every officer or every staff working in the branch should work for business growth. Now we come up with the concept of PMS profiler, and this is almost every month we are updating it, so employee can see. We have come with cohorting and a comparison, so now he can see where he is standing. Now he course correction, we are saying whether it's the weak area, whether it's the strong area, whether he can improve. A lot of things are happening. Again, purposefully in this HR transformation process, we included target setting, which is a totally a different department's work, but we took them in confidence and we worked with target setting tools. Earlier it was like that, nothing scientific was done. We have more than 10,000 branches in far-flung area. We have branch in Nariman Point also, and we have branch in a minuscule village of Tripura also. So understanding each and every branch dynamics and their requirement, we cannot do it manually. So we thought that we will put target setting tool in this, because if you are going for the PMS profiler, if target is not realistic, then again the problem will come. So we come up with a very scientific data, pin code wise analysis and all these things. We have done the PMS profiler. Now things have started improving. We are finding in the last, from 1st of April 24, we have started this thing, and the result after 9 months we are finding that performing branches, number of performing branches is increasing, growth in branch banking growth is increasing. So these things are happening. So transformation, we cannot say that is separate from business, and business cannot run without proper HR transformation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. In fact, what you wonderfully shared about your story from business to HR, it reminds me of a conversation with one of the HR heads of a large manufacturing unit. So whenever he would address the new incoming GTs every year, graduate engineer trainees, he would go and he would purposefully say, so I'm here to welcome all the HR managers. And then everyone was like skeptical, we are not HR managers. He said, oh, have I come into the wrong room? They would say, yeah, we are graduate engineer trainees. And then he will ask a question, will you work on the machines? They will say no. Who will work on the machines? They will say blue collar employees. What is your role? To get the work done by them. So don't you think that you are playing the role of a HR leader itself? So that's a wonderful illustration. So thank you so much about bringing that angle of everyone being a HR leader and HR perspective in every business domain as well. Anjan sir, coming to you, as you come from an institute which is preparing future leaders, how do you predict or how do you figure out that, okay, these are the future skills which are going to be relevant, and how do you train and prepare your faculty towards them? That's my first question to you.
So NIBM, I'm sure all of you know about us. We are more than 50 years old now, set up by the Reserve Bank of India, and the our member banks, mostly public sector banks, and then of course there are private sector and other banks also. And so what we are basically, we have a campus. We have the core thing. What we have is the faculty. So that's what we have. So the question boils down to how does, as a faculty group, we try to understand the banking system, the challenges of the banks, and then try to address those. So in that course, what we do firstly is that we try to be as much as possible up with the times. So number one, to be with the policymaker. So very clearly, we are very closely connected with the policymaker. And here when I say the policymaker, is the Reserve Bank of India, as well as now it is increasingly becoming so, the ministry, the DFS. So what are the challenges that are coming to the economy from whatever angle? So from the regulatory angle, macro angle, whatever challenges. So that is, we want to be abreast of that. We want to be ahead of that one. So that's point number one. Point number two, how do we address those challenges? We address those challenges by investing on our faculty resource. So currently we have 30 faculty, and of those 30 faculty, you'll be very surprised to know, all of them are doctorates, and there are 50% of them, they are women. So we have got a group of faculty who are very highly educated, with lot of opinion, with lot of voice in them, and it is they who we encourage them to understand the industry well and think about how to respond to it. So we have got a variety of interfaces with the industry. So how do we really connect with the various, as I said, the stakeholders? So for example, one of the biggest stakeholders that we have got, currently have, is the academic circuit itself. So we want to be at the cutting edge in terms of the knowledge creation that we are doing, the research that we are doing. So we are getting connected with, let's say, as much as possible, the best universities, the colleges, both India and abroad. Every month we have got 2 seminars. There is one seminar in which outsider comes to the institute to talk about what's happening in terms of research and other things. It could be a banker, it could be a faculty, it could be anyone in any domain. So we are banker, we invite people from sociology, we invite people from any walk of life to come to us to tell us what is happening in that particular area, in sciences. And the other thing is that our own faculty, every month they give one presentation based upon what new research we are conceptualizing, where we are, and so on and so forth. So that is the point number one that we're doing. So we are trying to be very close to the industry as much as possible. We try to detect what is the new challenges in terms of the skill building that the industry would need. Now, here the way we look at challenges, we are a bit more traditional than you would think, in that sense that our contribution with the kind of profile of faculty that we have got. What is our contribution? Could it be extremely like on the front end skill levels, or could it be more like thoughtful decision making? So maybe at that mid level, so when I look into the entire organization, top, middle and the operational level, so we have great amount of output that we create, which is more fitting for the top and middle level. We do also address the requirements of the people at the lower level, skill building, induction, of course. But we try to bring in those modules wherein the new concerns, the new issues that are emerging in the bank. For example, if we say today, operational resilience, if we talk of the expected credit loss, and likewise, green finance. So likewise, what are those areas which are currently becoming and going to be of challenge? We try to catch them up. And our faculty, as I said, the main basis is our research. The other main basis is how we connect with the industry, how we connect with the academics, and together how we come up with the learning modules.
Thank you so much, sir. In fact, you wonderfully touched upon the 3 pillars when you talked about knowledge creation, knowledge application, and knowledge dissemination. If I have to put, some words to what you shared, and these are essentially the 3 key pillars for any institution which is in the people development business. Now, just changing the gears now, I coincidentally come from a very interesting company where 85% of my employees are all Gen Z. But I know that all these 3 veterans, they have to deal with a multi-generational workforce. And this is a question we have found that most of the organizations are dealing with. And therefore this question is common to all the three panel members, and we can go in any order. How do you ensure effectiveness of your programs across multi-generational workforce? And what are some of the, unique initiatives you have taken which can be, a role model for everyone out here to learn? Over to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you. But before that, I'll just buy 1 minute from you. Since the class is little passive, so I would like to invoke some kind of interest that can we have the topic empowering HR is equal to transforming banking. I think somewhere we are still underestimating ourselves in terms of the potential that we have, and we are still considering as a partner whether HR itself is a business. Let us keep ourselves this connotation very strongly. Unless and until we ourselves recognize HR as a business, it will be difficult for the group as a whole that how it can be. So that is what I wanted to add, not as a partner but as a business. That is one thing. Now coming to the question that you have asked, like this is universal problem, rightly said, and as I mentioned initially, like it is always going back to the drawing board, asking the customers means the employees, how the market is behaving, what kind of role they are having. So different types of people. For example, we are having for the young generation, because they want all the employees on the fingertips, we have the chatbot, which is Gen AI based, and that is one of its kind in the industry, so far as public sector bank is concerned. We have for the people who are little, in the age like 30s or we can say early 40s, the kind of environment which we are creating in terms of the engagement, what kind of encouragement we are having at the workplace as well as, in the classroom scenario, that is very important. What kind of stimulus we are having for the self-paced learning, for example. Instead of de-incentivizing, how can we incentivize for the purpose of self-paced learning? There we have been working. Also, we need to look at the entire course content, design, delivery. What Professor Roy was mentioning, that in terms of the research and methodology that we are adopting, that is going to help us in terms of defining the entire course methodology, the delivery methodology, because now we are completely removing the PPT. We are coming to case-based discussion, and the cases are being sent to the participants in advance, not in all the centers, but certainly at the Apex Academy, where that is our head of all the journal academies. So this is how we are trying to formulate, trying to evolve in terms of actually creating a kind of thirst and hunger, and that is how the things are really shaping up, and this is how we are measuring also in terms of reduction in the customer complaint, how the audit issues are getting reduced, how the employees are feeling empowered in terms of taking decisions. So these are the various measures we have adopted in terms of understanding their, relatability with the various courses which we have been undertaking.
Thank you, sir. The problem of moderating such an esteemed panel is they preempt you. I had actually written somewhere that was going to be my next statement, that do you consider that HR is actually like a Hanuman who does not know its actual power, and someone has to tell, hey Hanuman, tum samudra lang sakte ho, that is when they do. But you already preempted what I was about to ask. Next question, sir. Any one of you can go ahead next, sir, please.
So now we, in the last 32 years of my career, I am finding that there is a paradigm shift in the mix of employees. So every passing months in our organization, we are finding that average age of employees declining, and it's a very steep decline is happening because in 90s we recruited lot of people at that time, before 2000, because 2000 golden handshake take place. After that time recruitment was little bit in a slower pace. So now the early 90s who have joined, or late 80s, now people are retiring. And in the 2000 onward, after I think some 2003-4, we realized that we need younger generation, so lot of recruitment took place. So now it's a heavy mix of employees we are having. I will tell you my experience when I joined bank, and I worked almost 14-15 years. When I became branch head also, I was the baby of the team. I was the youngest person in the branch. Everybody was older than me. After 13-14 years of my career, when it was like almost 2005, 6, 7, you can say, when I became chief manager in 7-8, then we found that new generation is coming. They came and joined us, and then we found that okay, yaar, koi to hai jo mere se bhi chota hai. So that is happening, and now I am working. The persons even in head office, I am sitting HR, heading certain parts of HR. Now the persons who are reporting directly to me, chief managers and AGM, they are less than 40 years of age. So that is the change that we are facing. So we realized it in our transformation project. We took it very seriously, and we divided our whole training schedule in training institutions in two parts. One is advanced learning centers, and one is a normal our staff training centers. So advanced learning center meant for giving a specialized training to senior people, senior management cadre, which has almost 5,000 strength we are having, scale 4 and above. And for them we are having a different courses, different design, different things, and even different set of staff also within that same training center. And the rest of the people, obviously they are younger generation, so we are coming up with a different course of this thing. So one, we are meeting such is this challenge we are meeting like that. Another is that actually this system is prevalent in our bank almost like more than 35 years. At least I have gone through that system, that whenever any management training is joining in our organization, they are going for 1 year training, exclusive training, no job they have to do. On the job training, classroom training, whatever is happening. And it was after 1 year only they get the posting. So after 1 year, when they are going to have a crucial position, they are well equipped, knowledgeable, and they understand the things. What we have done in last 2 years when we started transformation, that we come up with a complete portal, and we are recording all the journey, right from joining to all the things. We made it more scientific. We have come up the concept of mentor. Now every management trainee till their confirmation, they are having a mentor. So mentor in any time of this, we have developed a culture like that, that if any young officer is facing any official problems or some mental trauma or personal trauma even, they can contact their mentor. So it is a very close association, mentor-mentee is going on. So this way we are doing. Then another things for this 5,000 team, young, older generation people who are senior position, they are not older exactly. Like a scale 4 people are of 30, 32, 33 years of age. So for them we are coming up a very intensive leadership programs. We have completed for 1,000 people for 9 scale 5 and above. Then for scale 4, we developed 6 trainers inside our organization, certified trainers. Now they are giving them training for behavioral concepts. So that I think coming 6 months or 8 months, we will completing that also. We are doing refresher courses also. So that way we are trying to cover all the things. Apart from this, in HR point of view, we are in the whole organization, we are having a mentor-mentee concept for women, particularly women employees. So every scale 3, up to scale 3 officers, they are having a mentor in scale 4 and 5 senior position. So by that way, we are keeping the progress and the assimilation of complete generation 3, 4, 5, whatever you say, 5 generations is working. Now somebody was telling in the morning. So I think we are trying to assimilate them. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. On a lighter note, if I may say, your generation is still better. And my heart goes out to people like me who belong to the 40s. We have a different dilemma. When we started our career, we were told, listen to the bosses. And when our time to become bosses come, we are told, listen to Gen Z, what they are saying. तो हमारी तो बैटिंग ही नहीं आई है पूरे मैच में. We have been just on the other side, but I totally hear you when you said that what have been the unique initiatives across different levels, and what was extremely heartening to know about the mentor-mentee concept and also the specific initiative for the women leaders which your organization has been taking. Anjan sir, over to you.
There is one very good thing I must compliment Union Bank, Madam and others. A lot of learning that has happened over here that I am actually trying to put them here itself, capture and put them here itself. So when this concern of multi-generational learning came in, it obviously caught attention. Yes, there's a real problem. What is the industry doing about it? Now here's something that I would like to say a little bit theory and then how the practice look like. Now there is a concept called learning curve. Now this is a real concept. This is a bit of a highly studied and so on and so forth. It essentially means as we have pick up experience in whatever we are doing, our performance improves. So if there are some error rates come down, our output rate, productivity goes up, and so on and so forth. Now every individual has got a learning curve. Now you can well imagine that I have a learning curve, you have a learning curve, everybody has a learning curve. So learning is possibly an individual characteristics. But then there was a discussion about organizational learning. That's a bit more, bit more foggy idea. How do a group of individuals display that learning curve? So when I think of the organization, I would like to come to a bit somewhere in the mid-range, team learning. How does a team learn? Now this is where I find that if we are able to get an idea as to the learning curve of the teams. For example, now, we do lending. We have been doing lending for a very, very long period of time. And one of the things the learning curve tells us that we don't make the previous mistakes that we used to make earlier. But then when you see the performance of lending, it is not that way. It is always in terms of cycles. It's apparently that, do we learn, individuals learn, is that learning getting on to the team? Now this is where something which I find coming to the practice, some new practices that I'm able to see. Many banks, including some private sector banks, they are actually assigning this learning things to teams. So there is a functional team of, let's say, risk management, functional team of technology, functional team of businesses. So they are identifying those group of people who are supposed to learn together because they have to also perform together. Now if we are able to take up learning beyond individual to a kind of a group-based learning, so that might give us some kind of what we say, early effectiveness, early performance effect of the learning that we are doing. And because the learning is shared between, in a recent, just about this week, we completed one program on a technology-based program, and one bank, they sent many people. The lowest denominator of the person was, he was a manager, and the highest was a AGM. So I could see the young people, they were more active and so on and so forth. But then, as we ended up second day, third day into the program, then gradually we found that the senior person, the AGM, he is coming and he is doing the batting. He is actually bringing up some more nuanced concept of functioning in that particular area, and then he is getting deeper inside it. So when we create a kind of a learning environment where the entire team is involved, my perception is that that is where we learn better, that is where we learn in a group, that is where our learning gets converted to performance. So this is where, and please look at it, all these three peoples, they are all in different age group. They are all of different generation. But then what is binding them together is the work that they are doing. So if this could be a kind of an connect that we can develop, maybe we can even better the performance of our learning systems.
Thank you so much, sir. And as promised, I'm coming to the audience now. And I have a question for you. My question for you is, as per you people out here, what should be the ratio of virtual versus in-person interventions. Now, you are allowed to just speak a number. That's it. You have to say what is the ratio. You can say X is to Y. That is 80 is to 20, 90 is to 10. You need not justify that, it will vary from type of program to type of program. All those things taken into consideration. Just come up with one number before I throw this question to the experts out here. What, as per you, should be the ratio of in-person versus virtual interventions? The stage is all yours. Go ahead.
60 in person, 40 virtual.
60-40. 80 in person, 20 virtual, okay? 50-50.
50-50, I also go for
50-50, ek, 50-50, do.
majority.
Yeah, anyone else? Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll say 20 physical and 80 virtual.
20 physical, 80 virtual, go ahead. Anyone else?
I think
70-30, okay?
I would say the other way around, 25% physical and 75 virtual.
25-75. Anyone else? So last one is 25-75, 1.
25-75 aspirational. What is happening today is different.
What do you feel it should be, sir? 25-75, 2. 25-75, 3. The best thing is I have absolute no answer to it. Now this is the role of the two experts out here who are leading big organizations. So over to you, your views.
Good. I think if none of us are having the answer, how do you expect me to answer it? It is not a pure mathematics for that matter. Nonetheless, given the context, and I'll give you the live example, and that would be eye-opener for all of us. When the COVID set in, we in fact went back and we revised our L&D policy. And we thought, and the way the entire world was moving, that is the virtual is the only way going forward. It is going to be really cost effective, and we are really going to be, because the choices are very less, limited, and we in fact revised our policy, so much so to say. Having revised it, the policy, we started working on it also. But let me also say that when we have these kind of things, not changing the denominators, because you are not changing the context, the similar kind of products, similar kind of processes, you only change the numerator. The impact was compromised. The impact of the training was compromised. And therefore, we reversed. And then we said that no, that can only be supplemental. And that can be supplemental. And actually what we say, instructor-led, I think all L&D colleagues understand it, because we call it ILD and self-paced learning, that is digital learning. So we said the classroom and the rest. So the initial blend is on something level 1. That should be coming from the digital side, because you have to have that kind of elementary understanding and knowledge, and that will help you to come to the class to have a wider discussion, because you have to come to a level playing. You cannot, because the cohort we have to create, that should be somewhere who are by and large similar to it, and that is really working. And I can vouch for it, because the way it has helped us in terms of reformulating the entire L&D processes in the last 1 year, it's amazing. This is what I would like to add.
Thank you, sir. Sir.
Putting any number is really very difficult, but situation, of course, says that whatever you want to do, you have to do. Like what Sunil said in Corona time, if you would have insisted for classroom training, physical training, then it would not. It would be a zero performance. But 2 years we learned how to do digital these things. In the last, I think 1 year we have started giving more emphasis to physical trainings. But attendance is also very good. There are certain mandatory training we are giving. You see, like pre-promotion training, every public sector bank is doing. So this time, my union representatives were requesting me, ki, sir, last several years it is online training is taking place, so please come up with a classroom training. So this is the wondrous task I gave Pawan to please arrange. Now big challenge was there because huge number of people are appearing for the test. So we have started physical training. A lot of challenges came. Then if there was an idea, then we come up with in our HRM system. We came for choice. If somebody wants to give online training, if they want to opt, they can take. Because of course everybody is not in a position to travel. You see, we have limited training centers. So I think large number of people have opted for that, and they were also again thankful. Personally, some of people thanked me. Some people thanked me, sir, you come up with the option. Otherwise, I would have left out. So there is a pros and cons is there. Very difficult to say, but if really gaining something, learning something is concerned, I think physical training cannot be replaced.
Sure, sir. Thank you. Anjan sir, your views.
It's a question of which mix would help us to get the better impact. So let us understand that let's take a bit more futuristic view as to how the banking is transforming, obviously with a lot of digital coming in. Banking is transforming in the way you manufacture products and you deliver products. Banking is also getting transformed because of technology by way the consumer, they are also taking up the products. And between we are there as the HR, as the people of the banks who are supposed to convey the products to the customers, or the customers do it by themselves. So I take from Chetna Madam's yesterday's point that the employee comes and says, well, I've already done it in ChatGPT. So why do you expect me to do that, rigmarole again? Why? What is the next thing why don't you put me something more value adding? So my question is, what is that other value adding that the banks would like you to have in the future? So maybe the thing that strikes me is that possibly when many of the works will be taken over, routine work will be taken over by technology, AI, whatever it is, what work will the employee do? I believe the answer is only one. The employees only will do business. So now here comes two different kinds of training. One is that the employees, they use technology, they learn by themselves. So all those things that that is available to them through by means of technology, at least they have that much amount of technological understanding, way how to navigate technology, how to use technology, so that a lot part of it they will learn by themselves. Some part, of course, we have to help them to do it. But the second part now, doing banking. Second part is doing business. We have a lot of young people today. Do they really understand banking today? Do they really understand the business today? Are they really so, I don't know the lack of the better word, can they knock the door of the customer and then put themselves up, sir, here I am, I want to do business with you. Now if that is the thing we also want after technology, what kind of training will be required over there? So you can see now I am gravitating towards a very safe point, 50-50. The 50 part is basically about the technology, about the routine thing which they can learn. With the banks themselves you will have a lot of your elements and all those things. But the other 50, going to the market, now that is something we all are a bit more resistant to. There I think a very good amount of intervention is required to break our own personal resistance to go to the market, create business, do business, serve the customer, understand the grievance, and it will go on and on and on. So I would start with 50-50, that's it.
Thank you so much, sir. With the disclaimer which I said at the beginning, I don't have an answer to it, but I would definitely like to share with everyone what the Amex CEO shared in the town hall. He said that the cost of information today is going down to zero, whereas the cost of insight is going up to infinity. My only submission out here is that any training which is about information can be perhaps done in a virtual mode, but wherever the training is about insight, I still feel that there is no replacement to the in-person intervention which is there. We are in our final 11 minutes. Let me play a rapid fire round with my three panelists before I throw the floor open for question and answers. We had invited and I was listening to Mr. Harish Bhatt when he said, what is Tata style of leadership? A large part of HR transformation is also around leadership capability building. And Mr. Bhatt said that, everything may change, but there is some essence, there are some core components of leadership which never changes. So if as an expert, if you have to pick exactly two skills, then what are those two leadership skills which are never going to change? Whether it was baby boomers, Gen X, Gen Y, Gen Z, Alpha, Beta, and which are going to be evergreen leadership skills. And you have only 30 seconds to answer each one of you. Sir.
The one is knowing self, and the second is authenticity.
Thank you, sir.
One is integrity, and second is a good communicator as well as good listener also.
Thank you, sir.
The first is that you realize that you are not the only leader, everybody is a leader. So seek the leadership in everybody. So leader is a leading, it is a shared leadership. That's point number one. And the point number two is what I would think is the resilience. So leaders must show resilience. There will be time, crisis. That is the time where the real leadership then emerges over there. So that resilience, if you are able to see, you will be then automatically be sought as a leader.
Thank you so much, sirs. Now the floor is open for any question and answer for next 9 minutes. I will take 1 minute to summarize. Any questions, anyone? Anything you want to ask? So, no, sir, I completely empathize. Please, sir, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just going out loud. Given that we just talked about bankers doing business, do we, and this is open to all of us, do we see that 5 years from now, branch banking versus field banking, and are we looking at preparing ourselves for that? Is there a different business coming to us? Some of us have already done the journey, so I would like to know from people here.
I'm an illiterate for this question. This mostly for you.
You see, again, the earlier question we were discussing, the same question is this one. We cannot say that branch banking will be replaced by virtual banking. There will be branch banking. There are certain important aspects of branch banking which cannot be replaced. At least as of now, we are not finding it. Apart from that, you have to see our target audience also. You see longevity is increasing. Persons of even our age, lower than our age, younger people, suppose that somebody not working in financial sector but age of 45, doctors, other professionals, financial illiteracy is very rampant. Digital illiteracy is rampant. So your target audience, which are your prospective HNI customers, which will be your pensioners, which will be otherwise coming to you, but they are not very conversant. For them, brick and mortar banking will be there. Some 10 years back, when we were coming up with, Punjab National Bank was the first bank who come up with 100% CBS. So at that time, we were discussing what will happen to branch banking. But we are finding every month we are opening new branches. So I don't think branch mortar banking is going to be replaced by, but of course, ratio will certainly, that will increase. And one important data I would like to share from my banks, that percentage of digital transaction is increasing every year. Percentage is increasing like anything. But the branch banking transaction in last several years is static, it is not declining.
It is by and large everywhere in all the banks. Yeah.
There is just one point I would like to your attention. 2017, the branch authorization policy of the RBI made one significant change in terms of what it calls as a branch. So it doesn't call as a branch anymore. Today the terminology is banking unit. Now what does get changed when you move from bank to a branch to a banking unit? Now that is the essence of it all, basically. We also have got, by the way, digital banking units. So what sir has stated actually, so which means we are looking at units which are performing to connect with the customers in let's say in a very vigorous manner. Now how does those units they connect with the customer in a very vigorous manner? You actually see the shape of the branch in many ways. Look at SBI, you have got on one hand the Kohinoor branch, one side there is a Incube branch, so there is a very big branch, very small branch, very tiny branch, And then there is also these business correspondents are also there. How do you relate to the customer? That is more important. Today, with all our pressures, there is one very important skill sets which may be important for us at L&D to know, is that counseling the customers. Sir has pointed out financial illiteracy. There is another customers can be indisciplined. Their over-indebtedness is a concern. So as branch managers, do we have that kind of a skill sets to counsel the customers? So the concept of branch is also now becoming a bit more different. Service, counseling. So it is a much more outward looking activity that we are looking at it.
So I'll just add to what sir told, that it all depends upon that what customers want. So there is the kind of demography we are having, the expectations from the customer. Do they want that really there is no need for the branch? I think we'll have to look at it. But that is not going to happen in near future. So the kind of diversity we are having in terms of the customers, I think that will be the kind of answers which we are looking for, that will be coming from them only, rather than deciding on our own. Because ultimately it is for the service, it is for the customers that we are all thriving for.
Thank you so much, sir. It is 6:13, 2 more minutes to go. I will just, summarize, and I have only 3 points to share. It was a wonderful panel discussion. Thank you, each one of you, for bringing such wonderful insights. If I have to add 3 points, my father often shares a story that in the 1990s, the professors across the country went on a strike because Rajiv Gandhi government had introduced computers. And they said that the computers are coming, all the professors will become jobless. Is that the scenario? The answer is no. My only submission is, whenever any technology comes, there are always going to be rumor mongers. There are always going to be people who will be predicting the worst. I will still stick my neck out and I will say that no matter how much of AI and digital learning we are talking about, in the next 2 to 3 years, a new term is going to come up, and I'm making that bold prediction, and that new term will be bringing human back to human resources. When people will understand the limitations what machines can do. To summarize, the way I look at the importance of HR transformation, I look at all the HR leaders as the Trimurti. You have to be the creator, you have to be the nurturer, and you also have to be the destroyer ruthlessly of the redundant practices which are going on in your organization. And while you are doing that, a note of caution is, this is the time of Kumbh. People say this year has got some relation to the year in which Samudra Manthan was done. So my only submission to all the leaders out here is that if you break the silos, if you get the gods and demons both together, be also ready to take the poison in your throat, because that is the cost you will have to pay if you actually get to the driving seat. Thank you everyone. It was wonderful being here with each one of you. Thank you so much for your patience and being a great listener.
We extend our heartful gratitude to all the speakers for their dynamic and engaging discussion. As a gesture of gratitude and appreciation, I invite our Dr. Chetna Pandey Madam to kindly present token of appreciations to each of our esteemed speakers and our moderator, acknowledging their valuable contributions. Dr. Subrat Kumar. Dr. Anjan Roy. Shri Sunil Kumar Sinha. Shri Sumesh Kumar. Before we proceed further, there is one small announcement. We have placed a QR code at your respective tables enclosed within a glass board for easy access. I kindly request each one of you to take a few minutes to spare to share your thoughts and insights, whether it's about the sessions, the speakers, the logistics or any other aspects. Every piece of feedback is invaluable to us. If anyone is yet to complete your feedback, kindly do the same. With all the sessions now concluded, it's time to reflect on the insights and key takeaways from today's events. To deliver the conclusion and takeaway remarks, I am honored to invite our General Manager, Dr. Chetna Pandey, to share our reflections and close the day, our Ignite Conclave, on a thoughtful note.
Yeah, so I think I don't want to talk too much because so much of talking already has been done. But as a host of this event, this is my humble duty to actually first of all thank all of you for making this conclave successful. So the objective behind this conclave was to bring the thought leaders together on a platform where they can share and they can brainstorm on some of the key challenges which we have been facing. And if you look at the topics which have been decided and discussed and brainstormed, I hope everyone here, especially from my banking fraternity, will agree and resonate that these are the challenges which we have been facing. For instance, when we talk about digital transformation and the digital learning coming into foray, what happens to the physical learning space and how we are going to moderate between the two. How we can build a continuous learning culture. I hope everyone agrees, and that's why the topic was discussed in detail. And also another important topic which we had chosen for the panel discussion was the return on investment, because all of us know that whenever it comes to training, investment, budget and cost, we as HR managers or the training CLOs and training heads have to convince our top management that training is very, very significant, so we require a lot of budget for that. And they immediately ask for what is going to be the impact, what is going to be the return on investment. So that was another topic for this discussion which we had on a fireside chat on. Another important area, I think the last topic was the crux of this entire event, and I am very happy to all the panelists and also Dr. Subrat, because they actually brought this entire crux of this event on a single platform. We are talking about empowering HR. And if the HR is empowered, so many speakers talked about that first you have to prepare yourself as HR managers, prepare yourself. You have to wear your hat first before offering to others. And then how we can do this and how we can transform banking. So also most importantly, this entire event was based on collaboration, because that is the theme on which we started with this conclave, and we are ending it today. So I hope you all will agree that we have actually met the overall objective from the key outcomes and the key issues which were discussed during the panel discussions, during even the networking time which you got in the different breaks, tea breaks as well as lunch breaks. So all these things which was thought of, we have this in mind that these were actually brought to a surface. But I still feel it is just a baby step. We have a long way to go. So we are just igniting that spark within us, but it's just a beginning. So again, we should have such kind of events where again we can meet again and again, and we can also discuss so many other best practices which most of the organizations are doing. And another point which I would like to highlight, that I really wish that all of you who were here as panel speakers, we tried that we have representation from public sector banks, from private banks, from our training institutions, because they are also a backbone as far as the learning and development is concerned. They actually offer a complete different view, as well as they do a lot of research which comes into the learning and development space. So I sincerely thanks all of them for joining us to make this event successful. So with all this, I hope you all had a comfortable stay here and you enjoyed the weather of Bangalore, and especially though we kept you all fully engaged and with fire-packed sessions back to back, because we had so many things to cover. And still I feel that there are so many other topics which we could have discussed, and while interacting with you all, I felt that there were so many other speakers who could have brought more light to it. But no issue, as I said, this is just a beginning. We will be taking it much forward, and I hope my all fellow colleagues will also resonate and will come up with such kind of initiatives to take it forward. So with this, again, I would like to thank all of you, and all of you have been thanking me. So for this, I would request my team to come forward, because this event could not have been successful if they were not there. So all my faculty members and all, please come forward. Yeah, please come fast.
I hope your stay was comfortable. Yes, sir. Yes. Very good. Food was okay. Excellent. Very good.
Sir, we have agreements. Leopard chicken is leopard.
We have to stay here.
They have not seen the leopard.
So if you stay tomorrow, we can take you to safari. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So no. Yeah. So this is my team. Yeah. Yeah, I would request Amit, you can also join. Randhir, please come forward. Viplav. All of you are our team only. Because we had our social media team also coming all the way from Corporate Communication Department, Mumbai. And they have been actually live streaming on our YouTube channel, all the panel discussions. So anyone who have missed it, they can view it again.
Without you, we are not there. Come. Yes. So please give special recognition to admin team. Yes. They work so hard.
Yeah, so I would agree to Dr. Basappa, because this entire team has worked relentlessly for more than a month to make this conclave success. We were actually doing it for the first time, and a lot of expectation was there because we were getting guests from all across the banking industry as well as the learning and development industry. So they have put a lot of effort. That's why I thought instead of appreciating me and thanking me, it's better you thank all of them. So with this, we conclude for today. We have given a token of love and affection from Union Bank of India to all the participants. So your memento have been placed in your rooms, respective rooms, so don't get surprised. if you see a packet there. For those who were here with us as panel speakers, we have already shared with them. We have also a participation certificate for all the participants who are part of this event. It is a certificate just for keeping all of us in your memories, so that whenever you look at it, you have that you were at Union Bank Knowledge Center, Bengaluru, and myself and Dr. Basappa were there to host you. So with this, thanks a lot to each one of you. And now we'll conclude this with a national anthem. I would request the team if we can stand up for the national anthem.
One more request, madam. There was a group photo. Please post it in the group.
Yeah, sure.